Hello again. This time we have something quite different, a 1970s Omega Flightmaster. This watch has a running hours and minutes hand in the centre, along with the chronograph seconds and an independent hour hand for a second time zone. Then, going round the dial, we have a 30-minute chronograph at 3 o'clock, the 12-hour chronograph at 6, and a sub-seconds at 9. At first glance, this watch isn't in too bad a condition, but the chronograph is not resetting properly, the extra blue hour hand isn't operating at all, and the movement's running poorly. So this Flightmaster is going to need to be serviced, and possibly some extra work too. Let's start the service by opening the case back and inspecting the movement, where again, at first glance, the movement appears quite clean. On closer inspection, we can clearly identify a couple of faults. First is the blue hour hand problem. The gear that connects the stem of that crown to the movement is missing, nowhere to be found. Second, the action of the chronograph is not functioning correctly. This is because another component is missing, the blocking lever spring. So, some new parts will need to be sourced. For now, we can disassemble the watch. We first need to get the movement out by removing the crown and the case clamps. Then the movement easily drops out. The large assortment of hands can be removed, and the dial can be removed, revealing another issue. The return mechanism for the hour hand has not been assembled properly, and now it doesn't return the hour hand of the chronograph when the chronograph is reset. This will be fixed during the reassembly. The movement is placed into a movement holder. The ratchet wheels for the blue GMT hand are removed. The GMT blocking lever and GMT bridge are removed, along with the two intermediate wheels. The chronograph hour mechanism is disassembled. These components allow the chronograph hour hand to be driven from the going barrel, hold it in place when it isn't running, and return to 0 when the chronograph is reset. The hour wheel and GMT wheel are removed, along with the cannon pinion, which is removed with a special tool, as it is friction fit to the centre wheel. The movement is then turned over, and the hour's operating lever is removed. Now, this spring should be removed, but it appears it has been superglued into place, where I'm unable to safely remove it or its screw at the moment. Once the rest of the components are out of the way, I'll try again to remove it. For now, we continue by removing the hammer spring, and straight away we have another spring that doesn't want to come out. The cam spring can sit tight for now whilst we remove the cam itself, and fortunately the cam spring is able to be removed with just a little bit more encouragement. The coupling clutch assembly is removed, carefully taking the tension off the stuck spring first. The return hammer is removed, along with the blocking lever, which this component is just flopping around as it's missing its spring. The operating lever is removed. This acts on the cam to stop and start the chronograph, along with the rest of the operational works, and the pusher and stem too. We're nearly done removing the chronograph components. We can remove the chronograph bridge. There is the minute and second recording wheels. Taking a closer look at the bridge, we can see there's a lot of dried up oil on the jewels. We can then remove the minute recorder, seconds recorder, and intermediate recorder wheels, and the retention spring. I'm still unable to remove the coupling clutch spring. It will be suitably cleaned whilst attached to the half plate to avoid it being damaged and then the need to replace it. To finish off the disassembly of the chronograph, we need to remove the driving wheel attached to the fourth wheel. The safest way to do this is to remove the balance and pallet forks first, along with the hair that would not be doing the movement any good. Then the driving wheel can be lifted off without damaging the escapement. The escape cock and wheel can then be removed. The click spring can be taken out. And then the going train bridge can be taken off. We can remove the centre wheel, third wheel, fourth wheel, ratchet wheel, and the going barrel. We can then remove the click and the crown wheel from the underside of the going train bridge, which is the plate that had the chronograph works on top of it. Now, back to the coupling clutch spring. We can see the screw has been snapped off as the thread is not long enough and it has been glued into place. So it will be left attached to this plate during cleaning, and if it falls off, good. If not, it will be clean enough to be reused. To finish off the disassembly, we remove the setting lever screw on the back of the movement, turn it over, and then we can remove the rest of the keyless works. That is the setting lever spring, setting lever, which is rather filthy, the setting wheel, the minute wheel, an intermediate setting wheel. Then, by removing the yoke spring, the sliding and winding gears come out, just leaving the yoke to be taken out, which requires a bit of persuasion, as the old oil has stuck it right in there. The going barrel is disassembled, spring clip removed, arbor out, and mainspring out. Now, the crown was quite stiff. This was because an old type of silicone grease was used to lubricate the gasket inside the crown. This old silicone grease dissolves the gasket, creating a gluey, sticky mess, which is really difficult to clean out. This will be replaced with the new gasket after cleaning and will be good as new. The movement is now cleaned in isopropyl alcohol to remove any bulk dirt. The balance and pallet forks are cleaned manually to protect any shellac. The rest of the movement is put into parts baskets and cleaned in the ultrasonic bath. After everything is sparkling clean, we can reassemble the movement. Starting with the going barrel, a new mainspring is put in, the arbor is reinstalled, and the lid put back on, and then the spring contraption for the chronograph hour recorder. The crown wheel can be oiled and installed into the underside of the going train bridge, along with a click piece. Then the main plate can be placed into a movement holder and the going train can be reassembled. Starting by oiling the centre wheel pivot using the pinion on the centre wheel, then installing the going barrel, fourth wheel, third wheel, and then replacing the centre wheel, the ratchet wheel, and the going train bridge. The free movement of the going train is checked, ensuring that the end shake is not too great, and with that all being satisfactory, the train bridge is screwed down. Then the escape wheel is installed with its cock. The click spring can be installed from this side. The movement is turned over, the centre wheel greased, and the cannon pinion reinstalled. This is quite awkward to show you, but I'm holding the setting lever in place on the dial side, while screwing the setting lever screw in from the back of the movement. You can see the setting lever is now in place. Movement is placed back into the movement holder and the spot for the winding pinion is greased. It is then put into place along with the sliding pinion. The stem of the watch is greased and inserted into the movement, making sure that it fits into the sliding and winding pinions. Then the setting lever can be tightened, securing the stem in place. The posts for the motion works are lubricated and the minute wheel, setting wheel, and intermediate setting wheels are replaced, followed by the yoke spring, and setting lever spring. Here the keyless and motion works are being tested. Before I forget, the dial feet screws are put back in for later. Some components of the movement have been lubricated as they were assembled, but now it is time to lubricate all the jewels, using HP 1300 for the barrel, centre and third wheel pivots, and a Mobius 9010 for the fourth and escape wheel pivots. The pallet fork and balance wheel are temporarily reinstalled to check the functionality of the watch. If there are any problems with the running or timekeeping, it is much easier to address them now rather than waiting until the chronograph mechanism has been reinstalled. With everything looking good, the balance and pallet forks are removed to allow for the safe installation of the chronograph driving wheel later on. Now, the minute recorder jumper is lubricated and reseated. The friction spring, chronograph seconds recorder, minutes recorder, and intermediate wheel are reinstalled and secured underneath the chronograph bridge. The pivots and heart cams are oiled too. The operating pusher, hammer bolt, and hammer bolt spring are installed. Next, the operating lever is installed and oiled. The connecting lever, operating lever spring, and operating lever yoke are all installed and greased. And the braking lever is installed. Now, this is the new blocking lever spring that was originally missing. I had not received it during the reassembly at this point, and mistakenly thought I could slip it in underneath the other components of the chronograph. I was wrong, and had to partially disassemble the chronograph mechanism later on to get the spring into the correct position. So we can all pretend that the blocking lever spring is in there as we continue the reassembly of the chronograph by reassembling the coupling clutch with a bit of oil and installing it. Then the cam of the cam chronograph is installed and greased. The cam spring and hammer spring, the chronograph hour yoke and return hammer. Then, to reinstall the chronograph driving wheel, a staking set is used. This supports the dial side of the movement with the seconds pinion sticking out. Make sure that the wheel is pushed on straight and that the wheel is correctly engaged with the coupling clutch. A bit of testing to make sure everything runs smoothly. Then the pallet forks are reinstalled and oiled and the action checked. And the balance wheel is reinstalled. It's always good to see your watch tick back up. And now both sets of end stones can be cleaned and oiled too. Now we can do a bit of work on the dial side of the watch, starting with the GMT mechanism bridge, oiling and installing the intermediate wheels, and installing the bridge. Then we move to the chronograph hours recorder, oiling the heart cam. The runner can be put into place along with the hour return hammer and their bridge. Then the yoke connector, hour wheel, GMT wheel, hour blocking lever, its spring and the hour hammer spring can be installed. Then the GMT blocking lever can be reinstalled along with the GMT ratchet wheel. With the movement nearly back together, there are a couple of things that are not quite right. Firstly, you can see here that there is a bit of slack in the minute recorder wheel. That is, the hammer is not holding it in place properly. This could lead to the minute recorder hand moving off of the 0 spot prematurely. Secondly, the cannon pinion is quite tight, so when you would want to set the time by moving the hands backwards, this would stop the movement, which I want to minimise if possible. So, to fix the return hammer, a small amount of material is removed from the seconds recorder face to allow the minute recorder face to sit closer to the heart cam. And the time setting problem is fixed by reaming out the cannon pinion very slightly, meaning it requires less effort and less friction to move. With the movement nearly complete, let's work on the rest of the watch. Firstly, a thorough cleaning is required, some by hand with pegwood and a brush, the rest via ultrasonic bath. Then the case can be reassembled with the internal rotating bezel, the black spacer, and a new old stock crystal. With the case sorted, the dial and hands can be put back on, the running seconds hand, chronograph minutes, chronograph hours, GMT hand, hour hand, minute hand, and chronograph seconds. This Omega was looking quite good already, but the client managed to find a new old stock dial for this Flightmaster, so the hands came back off, the new old stock dial was fitted, along with the reloomed hands, and this Omega is looking better than ever with a new old stock dial that had been hidden away for 50 years. It is time to fit the movement into the case. It is a bit of a tight fit, and we have to install the new GMT crown wheel, as the original was missing. The movement ring in, and tightly secured, new case back gasket, the case back done up tight, and with the strap cleaned, reassembled and reattached. There we go, one fully serviced Omega Flightmaster with the movement caliber 911. Thank you all very much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing. If you'd like your watch serviced, my website is linked in the description, and I have some watches for sale on my eBay page too, also linked in the description. See you again soon. Bye for now.